let me introduce our vision of digital process automation. Today, we rely on software more than ever. Software powers every aspect of our business. And since every business change, innovation, or competitive response requires new or changed software, the speed at which we deliver software becomes the key strategic differentiator. Over the years, we've improved delivery time by moving from creating software by doing something this, where everything is completely built by hand, to this. We replaced hammers with nail guns and hand saws with power saws. This is the thinking behind today's low-code development platforms and BPM platforms. That thinking is that every business problem is unique. We must solve them by creating one application at a time. But building things one at a time is slow. Everything ends up being slightly differently, and each application is an island that has to be connected to other islands. So while we do make some improvements in delivery time, the challenges that we have with software today, things like complexity and cost, for instance, they don't go away, they become bigger. Let me give you an example. Imagine a world where every time you wanted to buy a car, someone instead gave you a piece of software and made you design it and build it. Well, that's really slow. Spend a lot of time. One person's car may look like this, and someone else's may look like this. They're so different, they would have to be made by hand instead of a factory. And it would take driver weeks to figure out how to use one, and then weeks to figure out how to use the other one. Nothing about it is just digital or transformative. It's actually the opposite. But that is what we do today. Here's another idea. When you want to buy a car, you go to a dealer or the internet, like the pizza buying, and say, look, I want to buy a car. I want to buy a blue sports car with 4-wheel drive and the sports package and a tan leather interior. BMW doesn't design individual cars where each car is different, each its own island. They design product families. They use standardized parts, and they build cars made to order with robots. It's mass customization, mass production applied to build products tailored to individual needs. A single BMW factory can build like maybe 10,000 cars a week, and virtually no two are the same. That's how you improve delivery time, quality, and cost by an order of magnitude. And this is our vision of digital process automation. We call it Composed Process Solutions. Allow me to switch from cars to the virtual world of software so we can understand Composed Process Solutions. The key to applying modern engineering and automated assembly to business software is to abandon the one-at-a-time thinking and find commonalities. Ultimus, we studied over 1,400 solutions that Ultimus has implemented over the past 20 years, and here's a sample. While they may look different, and certainly would have looked different 5 or 10 or 20 years ago, they really aren't. All process-related business applications have a pattern that we call a request, and each has 6 concerns. They all have a requester who applies for the service. They have a product or a service. They have associated documents for the submission. And they have the decisions or business rules or policies about who does what. And they have the process details and the history, of course, of who did what and when. And here is how it looks like in Composed Process Solutions. In this case, we're looking at maybe onboarding new clients at a law firm. This is the 6 concerns that I talked about. Implemented as a standard CPS architecture, a uniform solution structure, a common design, all made in advance. They don't have to be created over and over, and they're laid out in a way that allows us to present a very large amount of information in a very user-friendly, easy-to-digest way. Here is the requester, the client, the service or the legal matter for which the client needs to engage, the associated documents, policies, and required information, and of course, the process details and history. So how can we apply this pre-built standardized building block so that one solution is this new client onboarding, another is an expense report, or yet another is an account opening, or any other possible solution? And how can we do it in a really elegant way that brings us closer to digital transformation? We compose our software using digital assets. Let me switch back. Digital assets are things that Ultimus pre-builds once instead of building things once per project. As I mentioned already, these digital assets are things like architecture, solution structure, design capabilities that are made in advance. They are standardized and they're no longer created over and over. We extend this digital notion of digital assets to even things like business rules, devices, even content like countries and languages. We put all these digital assets in a common place and a common form and pre-wire them to work together. CPS ensures that everything the customers create, every new extension, is also added to this common pool of digital assets. Even solution data is added into this common pool of digital assets. So what do we do with digital assets? That is the next aspect of digital process automation. We compose using these digital assets. We make references to the digital assets that we need, and CPS generates our software solution the moment we ask for it. It's real-time, on-demand deployment. This is an incredibly fast way to create software we need with high quality because most of the work is already done. Our assets are pre-tested and are pre-built to work together. Deployment is instantaneous. But that's not all. The third aspect of digital process automation is the notion of software families. Instead of creating things one application at a time, I can create an entire family of applications just by defining the differences between them. There's no need to create separate versions of software for every business or every business scenario or device or geographic location. Just define the differences. And family members inherently and automatically share data. They're no longer islands that have to be connected, and they can be changed as a group or at an individual level. Let me show you this in actual use. Here you can see a blank CPS solution. Even before you begin, you get a lot of value automatically. You never start with a blank sheet of paper. Now, I will compose the solution using CPS digital assets. In this case, I compose an application for opening new accounts at a retail bank. I start by declaring the digital assets I need for the requester, the person who wants to open a bank account. I need to know if I already have information about the customer. So I refer to the CPS digital assets, search by customer account number, name, category. I need to know something about the customer. So I refer to the CPS digital asset, customer details, and personal information. Finally, I need to know how to contact the customer. So I refer to the CPS asset, customer contact. And that's it. Now, the next time when someone needs the account opening application, it is generated on demand as specified. And these aren't just pictures, by the way. Everything is fully functional and already connected to all other digital assets automatically. I can search for a customer and load the data. We can identify missing information, and CPS guides me to the problem, and I can enter the missing information directly. We can upload the required documents. In this case, for his identification document, we will use the driver's license. And for a utility bill for his proof of address. We can view the documents that we just uploaded. We can add a comment. And submit the new account approval request. The next application in our solution family is a credit card approval process. To create that, again, I just specified the differences. In case of credit card, I need to include the CPS asset employment information. I need to define the credit card that they want. And I've also defined an additional document requirement, which in this case is an employment verification. Now, when Kevin Tiller comes back to the bank in response to maybe I have a credit card offer, I search for him. All his data available from my other CPS solution is loaded automatically. Even the documents I already have. No complicated point-to-point integrations, no data inconsistency, no data integrity issue, just by specifying the differences between solution family members. Well, what if Kevin doesn't come into the bank? What if he applies online? Well, I've created the self-service version of my application, a new family member, if you will. Again, just by specifying the differences. He wouldn't search for himself, and there's a different UI to guide him. Different names for the request concern, like about you, your request, your documents. We wouldn't want him to see the process or the history. And we're done. I can apply the same thinking in order to create application family members for different regions and also for different devices like mobile. Building and maintaining completely different versions for different countries and different devices is just too complicated. Instead, just define the differences. Well, you might have a different workflow step in one country and 21 versus 18-year-old as minimum age, and of course, translations, and an iPhone has the camera. CPS does the rest. And even those translations become digital assets that never have to be translated again. Now, I've created an account opening process, a credit card approval process, a self-service version of it, and English, German, and mobile versions. 8 variations in all. Incredibly quickly, built to change, and no solution island. An order of magnitude reduction in complexity. Finally, let's take the notion of solution families and eliminating silos a step further. With all the solution data in the form of digital assets, it can also be composed and recomposed for new business purposes. We can easily get business views of our process data, not just a process view. We can prioritize our work based on context instead of just what's in our inbox and when is it due, and sometimes it may not even be electronic. Think of a salesperson. A salesperson wants to do more than just wait to be notified that the request has been approved. Maybe they want to use the data in CPS families to see what's going on, or with his VIP customers. Then he can see that while one of a customer has a problem, you can drill down and see what the problem is. It's a complaint that is outside the bank's service level agreement. Without opening a bunch of separate applications, he has available the contact information. So maybe he can call the customer and wish him happy birthday and assure that his complaint will be fixed. And while he's on the phone, maybe he can ask for a compliance document required for another process and have the customer email it and upload it without any separate emailing and following up to do by the customer. After the call, he can even drill down and see where the process stands and who is holding up his commission. Now, in conclusion, our vision of digital process automation is composed process solutions. Applying modern engineering and automated manufacturing principles to mass customize virtually any type of process-related business application. Composing software solutions and solution families on demand by referring to common digital assets, and composing and recomposing these digital assets so that you can very quickly do business in fundamentally new, fundamentally different, and fundamentally better ways. You can transform again and again.